first things first, it takes a while to get a big pot of water boiling, so I've got that going. Really high heat. We need a rolling boil to sterilize our jars. I also have things kind of set up and prepped. I've got chamomile steeping. It's about a half a cup of water, really hot, and 2 tea bags. And so I'm looking for really, really, really strong chamomile and not a lot of liquid. I don't want to add too much liquid into the jam, but just enough to add that floral chamomile flavor. I've got 6 pounds of apples, and honestly, it's a mix. We picked these last month, and they're starting to kind of go. You know, they're getting mealy, which isn't fun to eat. But this is what you do with apples that are kind of past their prime for eating fresh. You make them into jams and apple butters, and they're really great to bake with too, and cakes and cobblers and stuff. So I kind of picked through my apples and found the ones that definitely were not good for eating. And I have 6 pounds here that I'm going to start peeling and chopping while our water's going. I also have my jars. Now, I'm going to be sterilizing these. You always use fresh, new lids. You can reuse your rings, but you can't reuse your lids. So that's kind of canning 101. Used lids don't seal. You don't want to do that. So you always want to have a couple boxes in your pantry for when you want to can. This recipe will fill 3 full pints. I like doing half pints because it's just a better sized jam for gifts. So we're going to aim for 6 half pints. I also sterilize 1 extra jar because you just never know with your yield what you're going to end up with. I end up needing to sterilize a few more. The other thing you can do is if you have a little extra, I also put it in a little Tupperware container and keep it in the fridge, and we kind of eat that throughout the week. So you could always do that too if you don't feel like sterilizing more jars or you don't have enough to fill like 1 extra jar. So we're going to be sterilizing these shortly. Meanwhile, I'm going to get to processing my apples. So as far as, chopping your apple, you can feel when an apple's really going to break down. This is very past its prime. It's very soft. It's very mealy. So, you can be a little bigger with your chopping. Whereas this is more like a Granny Smith, so it's going to be still pretty firm. It's a little mealy, but it's firmer than the other ones. So the ones that are a little bit more firm, I would chop a little smaller to break them down a little bit. But it all depends, how much apple bits do you want in your jam? You're going to be mashing things up anyway, so use your judgment. And off camera here, I've got a little pot. It's not a little pot, it's a big pot actually. Big stock pot that I'm going to be making my jam in. So core, peel, and chop your apples. And if there's anything, funky, bruised, rotting, don't include that in your jam, obviously. Now, if you want, there's lots of recipes online. If you don't want to get rid of your cores and your peels, there's some interesting caramels you can make, some jellies you can make. You can even just kind of save them and make a kind of a homemade potpourri. Just have it simmer on the stove with some spices and have your house smell good. If you really want to use every little bit of your harvest, there's ways to do that. It just depends on how much time you have and energy and space, honestly, because sometimes you got to store all this stuff and and have the space for it. So all right, to our apples, we're going to grate 2 lemons. And if you want more lemon, you can even go up to 4. I'm gonna stick with 2 because I do want the chamomile to come through a little bit. And they should sort of balance each other out and enhance each other, in my opinion. So we're going to zest 2 lemons, and then we're going to squeeze the juice out of these 2 lemons too and add it to the apples. Okay, our zest is in there. I squeezed the juice. I'm going to add that in. And I'm actually going to add our chamomile. And what I'm going to do is squeeze the bags. Nice. Get all of that flavor. Remember, 2 bags, half a cup of hot water, and it's been, you can see it's really, really dark. I'm putting that in there. One thing I like to do in my jams is just a touch, this is a sprinkling of salt. It's seriously a dash. It's nothing crazy, but I do think a little bit of salt just brings everything up a little bit. So I'm gonna get this on a medium-high heat. So join me at the stove. Okay, so my pot for sterilizing is next door here. You might hear the bubbling a little bit. I'm gonna get this up on a medium-high heat. My stove's kind of messy. I want to apologize to my viewers. But I figured before I cleaned it, I might as well get this messy task done, and then I'm gonna scrub it all down. All right, so chamomile, lemon juice, lemon zest, dash of salt, 6 pounds of apples, medium-high heat. We're going to cook this down for about 30 minutes. What we're hoping for is to get these apples softened up in all this, in their juices and in the lemon juice, so that we can mash it up. As it starts softening in this 30 minutes, you can start to mash it with the back of the spoon. When things get really soft, then we're going to take a potato masher. So let's let this cook down a little bit. So it's been 30 minutes, and I've been stirring. There goes my timer. Turn that off. So I've been stirring and mashing, and then towards the end of the 30, you want to take your potato masher and mash. Now it's up to you. I mean, it's definitely looking like applesauce, but there's still quite a lot of apple bits in here, and it's up to you and your family on how many kind of bits of apple you want, or if you want a smoother jam. I like to have some apple bits. I like to have fruit bits in my jam, personally. Not huge ones, because you know you want to spread it on toast, but. So, mash. You can see it's pretty cooked. Now we're going to add our sugars. All right, to this we're going to add 2.5 cups of sugar. So that's 1.5. I need 1 more cup. But also 1/2 cup of honey. So this is going to have a real nice floral flavor, especially with that chamomile. I'm wondering, where's the pectin? And actually, some fruit, like apples and cranberries, have a natural pectin to them. And you don't need a thickener. Just with the sugar, it'll thicken up. Okay, all our sugar is mixed in there. I'm going to time it for 10 minutes. Set my timer. And at this point, I am going to sterilize my jars. I wanted to sterilize my jars close to when I'm going to be canning, because things stay hot and disinfected in the right time. All right, so sterilizing jars. For those of you that are new to canning, this is the easiest thing to do. We've got a pot of boiling water. And all you do is you take your jars and you immerse them in the hot water. You're going to use the same giant pot to do the hot water bath canning. You want to have these, and I sterilize everything. I sterilize even the rings, although I'm told you don't need to. I'm just kind of paranoid. So make sure they're lying down flat, that they're totally submersed. If your pot's been going for a while, you have to check your water level because, as we know in science, this is going to boil off into steam and you're going to lose your level. So keep an eye on it and add water as you go during this process. It's particularly when we do the hot water bath because they're going to be standing up in the water and they need to be submerged. So I can tell you already, I'm probably have to add more water for the canning piece of this process. Anyway, all these go in. Lids. I do the rings too. There they are. Everything's submerged. I'm going to time this for 5 minutes. And then I've got a nice clean cotton towel that I'm going to place everything on. I also wiped down the counter with Lysol wipes. And this is clean out of the washing machine. Dryer, sorry. Anyway, you want a nice clean towel. You want to be as clean and sanitized as possible when you're dealing with food and preserving food. Okay. And meanwhile, my jam is still going. I've got about 5 minutes. All right. It's been 5 minutes. I like putting them upside down and then turning them right side up. So get everything out and spread it out and let it kind of dry. Okay, time for canning. There's like a little starter kit. This is part of a ball jar starter kit for canning, and these funnels are great. If you don't have this, you can just use just a normal funnel or just really carefully, ladle your jam in. The thing is it's about the rims, you want a good seal and you can't have any food or juice on that rim. Try to keep it as clean as possible. These funnels do help. You can get it on ball.com. You can also probably go on Amazon. Give it a good shake. You don't want air in there. Now you might be thinking, wow, this is like applesauce. It is, but you've got a really high sugar content to make it more of a jam, and all the applesauce would be a lot smoother. You've got bits of apple in here, you've got lemon zest, so it is a little bit different. Tap down or shake. We've got the headspace that we need. You can always go back and take a little bit out and level things off as you go. So the key here is to pull up cleanly and place it into the next one. So continue on, and then I will show you how to seal and process. So as I mentioned, I did one extra jar, and I'm going to show you. Boop. Got at least maybe I'm gonna say 2 jars. I'm not sure. At least 1, if not 2. So I'm gonna have to sterilize 2 more jars to finish. But let's get these processed, and I'm gonna show you how to seal. So I've got like a slightly damp paper towel, and I'm just going to ensure I have nothing on these rims, which I was pretty careful filling them, but just to be safe, because you don't want to lose any of these. However, if you do, it's okay. Just pop it in the fridge, and you're just gonna have to consume it, within a month or so. So you've checked your headspace. I'm feeling really good about that. If you're kind of low in one, you can always fill. So this is your time before you clean your rims. Make sure everything's all even Steven. And then part of the starter kit for canning is this really cool gadget, which has a magnet on the end. And basically just so you don't have to use your hands. You're trying to have a really clean, sterilized seal. You don't want to touch that. You just want to pop it on. Boom. That is key. So pop these on. Not sure what's going on there. There we go. So you don't want to go too tight, because hot water and then cool, things expand, contract. So you just want to kind of tighten it a touch. Don't go too tight. Grab one. I'm going to take you over here. And I checked my level, and guess what? It might not look like enough, but wait till you put all of them in. What we want is everything submerged. I actually put extra water in here, but you can see the level's already rising. So also be careful about that, particularly if you're doing bigger jars, like tomatoes. A good inch or so on top, completely submerged. I'm gonna put the cover on, and we're going to let them sit for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna set the timer. Okay, timer's gone off. Really, it's as easy as this. Just pull them out, get some of the water off, and then you're gonna set it somewhere where they can just sit and be undisturbed for a few hours, because they're gonna seal. Right now I'm just gonna set them over here, but I am gonna move them quickly to my table. So I've set them over here, and I just wanna mention, I have a cutting board. We used to just set it on this beat up table that seen better days, but these are really, really hot. So wherever you put them, they're going to hurt your table a little bit. So the recent thing I've been doing is I have got a cutting board, and then I put a towel on that, and then they can sit and seal. And what you're hoping to hear, I'm hoping that actually you're gonna hear this. It kind of sounds like popping corn. Come on. No, they've been popping since I put them over here, but what you're hoping for is to hear that pop, because that means the suction is happening and that seal is happening. Once they've been sitting for a while and they've cooled down to room temperature, definitely check your seals. If they should be indented, and you're not going to be able to push down and hear like a little popping sound. If you can go up and down and it's popping back and forth, that means you don't have a seal. If you don't have a seal on that, pop it in the fridge and use that one up first. Otherwise, these are good to go for, I think Ball says 18 months or so. So, yeah, be sure to label it and set it in a cool, dry place, and you've got wonderful apple honey chamomile jam for a while. And I like giving them out as Christmas gifts. So anyway, if you want to learn more about canning, I have a whole playlist on the channel. We do a lot of canning here, and it's a great way to save and conserve food, you know, and especially your summer harvests and your fall harvests with your apples. So join me. I know this video is late. Usually I'm delivering a video every other Friday. Supplies came late for the other project. Anyway, you guys don't need to know any of that. But stay up on all the fun here at the homestead and subscribe on that little button down there. I think it should be right there. And you can stay up on all the fun. We have a lot going on till the end of the year, and we have big plans for next year. So stay tuned. Thank you for your support. Now get canning and enjoy this fall day. Mwah! Bye.